Welcome along to another episode of the Deep Pin Coffee Hour. I'm your host, Neil Sisson, the CMO of Havelo, and I am really excited about today's episode because it's just a subject that has a lot of interest for me personally. So I'm really excited to talk to two more legends in the space, and I will bring those on stage just in one second. Before that, a couple of quick housekeeping points for Havelo. Approximately 4 minutes ago, we went live on BingX. So that's the latest of our centralized exchange listings. If you fancy picking up a bag of HVLO, you can do that now on BingX. You can also do it on Gate.io, MEXC, Radium, and through Banksa if you want to buy with your credit card or Apple Pay or whatever, which way you want. HVLO is also available through ApeBond if you fancy taking a slightly alternative route to getting your tokens. All right. With all of that fun stuff said, I just want to add that this month, October, is going to be just as a crypto, someone who enjoys the crypto markets, I'm hoping for October, but we have a lot of stuff happening in the world of Havelo and HVLO as well. Should be a buyback and burn coming at some point soon, amongst other things that we have launching. So keep an eye on our X account and come join us in Discord if you are not already there. And of course, havelo.com, if you haven't downloaded our Node Runner application, you can get started there with that. Super simple, couple of clicks and you're up and running. Easy peasy. But okay, with all that said, let's get into the meat and potatoes of today. First, I would like to welcome to the stage Jasmine Smith. Jasmine, I'm going to read you the introduction that my crack team of AI researchers created, and you can tell me if it's really wrong or if it's correct. Jasmine Smith is the CEO and co-founder of Rejuve.ai. She advocates for natural health, wellness, and democratizing longevity through technology. That's all great stuff for me. With expertise in tech, crypto, and health equity, she co-founded the project with AI pioneer Ben Gortzel, and apologies, Ben, if I just butchered your name, to make longevity research accessible via AI and blockchain. Sound about right?
Yes, and thanks so much for having me here today.
Awesome, cool, thanks. We'll double click into a lot of that stuff in a second. Mike, the crack team of researchers said that Michael Campbell is a citizen scientist and co-initiator of Reflex DAO, explores innovative health technologies, including unconventional topics that have nothing to do with health, like UAPs. We could definitely do a whole nerd out session on that because, this is a fascinating thing. We get it if you deep dive on truth. Anyway, I won't. That's not why we're here today, but fascinating as well. And hydrino theory, which I had to look up, I'm going to admit. He drives the project's vision for community-owned health data ecosystems using wearable tech for proactive wellness. So, does that sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, awesome. So maybe I'll just give people a quick idea of. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys give people a quick idea of what you're working on? You're obviously both right at the bleeding edge of what's happening in wearable and health tech at the moment. So I'd love to hear a little bit more. Maybe Jasmine, you could go first and tell us a little bit about Rejuve.ai, and then Mike, you could tell us about Reflex DAO.
Yep. So as mentioned, I'm Jasmine, co-founder and CEO of Rejuve.ai. My background is in health information management. Originally, was working in kind of the traditional healthcare system, and was disenchanted with it. So I got into some cool stuff like Web3 and democratization and all these sort of cool technologies in AI. So what we're building at Rejuve.ai is called a decentralized longevity research network, and this pretty much means people crowdsourcing data from all over the world and building this international data set with which we can train and improve AI models for personalized insights and recommendations for optimizing wellness and healthy aging, but also discovering more about the underlying processes so that we may someday reverse aging. So yeah, I'm kind of in the radical life extension camp myself, and we kind of touch into both areas of that, both people that are more highlighting health span or lifespan, or either or both, and all the above, and kind of thing. And so the idea is that we have a mobile app. You track your personal health data. You can earn RJV tokens and then use them inside of a network ecosystem in exchange for health products and services and other features in the app that'll be coming along down the pipeline soon. We have a bunch of different partners, affiliate partners, offering various testing kits and supplements and all kind of products that you can use to further enhance your longevity journey, and then also provide more data into the application so that your profile grows in its overall value to the algorithm, and also for yourself as well, for your personalized insights. And the idea is that it's kind of a one-stop shop, that you have all of your data and insights and education about longevity research and geroscience there. And then you also have trusted providers to connect if you want a longevity clinic in your area or somewhere in your region to find it. If you want a particular type of supplement, if you want to try an N of 1 experiment, and that's kind of a big milestone that we're working toward right now, is that if you do try some new diet or exercise routine or supplement stack or protocol, that you actually can meaningfully measure baseline before or after, different cycles of it, so that we can scale these individual insights from biohackers and people, whether you identify that way or not, to scale these insights to broader populations, to be able to optimize people's protocols quicker and easier from day one, avoiding a lot of extra wasted money and time.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that got me super interested in what you guys are doing, is this sort of idea of being able to aggregate the N of 1 type studies, because I am definitely into self-experimentation when it comes to supplements and trying to optimize things. It's all Tim Ferriss's fault. I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, I have like, in particular in relation to nutrition and longevity, in my case. But I have, like, one of my best mates is a very good friend, is a qualified nutritionist, and it's just like unopen to any ideas that haven't been like, control group study, etc. Because it's just too. But the reality is, I think that the human body is very, it's a very complex piece of biomachinery, and while there are commonalities obviously between us all, everybody is a unique individual flower. So there isn't one size fits all, in my opinion. And so being able to aggregate all of N1, and actually, I don't know if you guys are talking to the Collisons. Do you know who the Collison brothers are?
No.
Okay. They were originally, they're Irish guys. There were a couple of young fellas who they built Stripe, basically. So fairly successful, I think you could say, by any standards. Anyways, I just saw one of them tweeting about this very thing the other day, about aggregating all of the sort of N1 health data, N of 1 rather. So yeah, super interesting, and we'll double click on that in a minute a bit more.
Super cool. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, definitely, because those guys are very well connected in Silicon Valley with venture funds and stuff like that as well. So Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about Reflex DAO and what you're up to there?
Yeah, so I'm one of the founders. There are 4 of us. We're a pretty globally decentralized organization. There's 2 of us in the UK. Jason's in Canada. Robin's in Thailand. We've got developers all over Asia,
Right.
and collaborators in the US. Hopefully we can find more collaborators from Europe and some of the other countries. My background is really actually not health, it's fintech. So most of my career was spent in fintech. I've had my own experience building technology solutions in that space. And I found my way into health tech as part of as this project, which originated in the UK as a company called Brainstem Digital Health, and then we morphed into a Web3 project. We found blockchain and realized the potential value of integrating with that, which we've done. Our project is really about helping people make use of health data that they can self-collect. The idea being that they can make it easily collectible and shareable, combinable, and shareable. Okay, and shareable for good purpose, research and innovation, potentially shareable with healthcare providers, and also shareable potentially for reward as well. So not just for personal health improvement, but also social health improvement, hopefully over time, maybe with maybe in collaboration with Jasmine's with Rejuve, for example, and also potentially some form of economic rewards as well. And we started our project really with really very much health focused. The areas that we are still interested in are autonomic cardiovascular use cases. The first use case is on top of the platform that we will come to market with. But as we sort of went through our R&D journey, we realized that some of the issues that we were facing must be faced by a lot of other folks, which is, where do you get the data from? And by that, I mean, looking for usable repositories of data. There's not an awful lot out there. I'll give you an example. If you go to MIT's PhysioNet, which is sort of one of the gold standards of research, you can measure the sample sizes. Okay, they're samples, recordings taken from hospital settings. They've been manually labeled, but you can count those sort of samples in the dozens. So, there may be 300, 400 samples across that database. I'm not totally up to speed on it. I've used some of it. Maybe it's a bit more than that. So there's not a lot of accessible resources. There are, I think, quite a lot of siloed or closed resources out there, but for a lot of people, there's just no way you can access the data. So we thought, okay, if we're doing this and we can grow this, it seemed like a pretty smart thing to do to make it as easily accessible as possible to the widest range of participants, to enable them to do things which could be of help to the community the ecosystem that hopefully we can build around this. So that's what we've done. And what we've got is a live system now. It's still sort of testing phase. So I think we're heading towards 10,000 recordings. We've got low hundreds of users on the system. We haven't really pushed this hard at all. It's sort of just a small community of folks who are very interested in what we're doing. And the idea behind it is really to make this a community-owned database, or phenome data. So it's phenome data, and make it community-owned and shareable under the control of the participants. So participants can share this, and the data is anonymous out of the box. So we don't de-anonymize the data. We're not asking for your name, your address, anything about it. We associate your data with a blockchain ID, put it into a collective database, which currently is, it will be completely decentralized, and then make that accessible over time. It's still early days, to whoever the users are happy to share their data with. Our primary
So how does that
focus,
work?
am I still on? Yeah. Our primary focus is collecting data. Yep.
I think we have a bit of a lag
Am I there?
between us.
Did you lose me?
No, you're okay, but there's a bit of it seems like there's a bit of a lag.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about how that actually works because, like you said, you've low hundreds of users on the platform. Are they all wearing devices that are recording data anonymously to the database, as it were? And then,
That's
does
right.
the DAO decide
Exactly.
who gets the data, as a collective vote, or does an individual have a setting that they can change and then it just all happens automatically?
At the moment, it basically it's you can share or you can share or not share. Okay, so that's as far as that's so you can share into the collective. That's where we are right now. Next stage will be we'll be onboarding some research teams. So we've got about 5 different groups who are interested in doing research. Now those groups actually will bring their own people, so they're actually defined projects. So they would have their own participants, potentially from the community that we build. We could put a call out for participants who might be interested in collecting data or sharing the data with the particular research project. So this is the next stage, which we're heading. Hopefully, we're not that far away from starting the first couple of projects. So the idea is, that you will be able to A, share your data, and then B, have individual say over what your data can be used for. All right. And it's coming from wearables. The idea of the platform is that it is open. So we start this with a wearable, what we call the R&D wearable, because it's the wearable device that we've been using for prototyping and collecting data for our own R&D. But our plan is to actually expand to a range of wearables. That's a wrist wearable, a ring, an ECG. But the platform itself is open. It's fundamentally open. So if you got, what are you wearing there?
A Whoop.
A Whoop. Okay, yeah. So the platform is the idea of the platform is open and supports a range of wearables as long as we can actually get access to the data, and that's the devil's in the detail on that one, because some of these devices don't give too much away. So we'll make use of whatever we can as long as there is demand for that data. There's value. It has some objective value in it. The other part of the story is that there is other data which can complement the data from a wearable, and so we're also working on extending the project by A, increasing the number of users, B, increasing the obviously the range of data sets, and then over time increasing the quality of the data based on a number of different variables. So that's where we're at. We're at that wearable we started to build out, so we can support iWatch now, Whoop, Polar, and we'll add Samsung, Huawei, Garmin. Some of these devices like Oura, it starts to kind of get questionable how valuable that they are on the platform, because it's just difficult to get the data from them. But I think we're open to integrating as much as we can.
Yeah, I'd imagine if you can. I mean, again, I'd imagine if you can integrate with Apple Health, most of those apps, I think, seem to integrate with Apple Health, and then it just sort of acts as middleware between everything else. I've got a load of different
Yeah, we are
using.
absolutely.
So, and they all run through Apple Health as a middleware kind of. So even my scales, smart scales in the bedroom that has bioimpedance and all sorts of stuff, that it's like, I don't know how accurate it is, but I mean, I guess the view that I took with it was that, like a trend, is the data point really.
Yeah, something is better than nothing. You get some kind of signal in there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Is it going up or is it going
Yeah.
down? Like
Well-
kind of. So
We are integrated with Apple Health, and then we've so the iOS app, the Apple iPhone app is live, and we're just going live on Google Play with the Android app. So we're just one step away. I think it's on an open release now. The beta version it's stable. It's working fine. It's on an open release. So we'll add in the Google. I can't remember what it's called. Google Wear or OS Wear or something like that. Wear OS. That's it. And the where we started our project, and one of the big differentiators was and where we're interested in terms of providing our own devices is this ability to collect data continuously. So rather than snapshots or metrics, which the metrics are great and we can utilize those, but we were more interested in getting access really to the raw data and the ability to collect it continuously under challenge states. What I mean by that is when we basically we know the physiological state the person's in when we collect the data, and we can collect it continuously. And that gives us obviously more. We can do different things with it, things that you can't do with an Apple Watch, or you can't get from an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring. And also, it gives us that raw data that we can then share with other researchers, and they can do different things. They can try different things. So so that continuous kind of access to granular data is really quite core to our project, and is one of the differentiators. But we're happy to grab data from whatever source we can.
yeah, one of the really interesting things, I think, actually, maybe I'll just go back over to you, Jasmine, for a minute about just about, are you guys primarily an app as well? And then you could connect to any wearable device, or is your plan to essentially create wearable devices as well at some point?
Yeah, we're also aggregating wearable devices. We kind of use the third-party tool to aggregate a whole bunch of them, so we can kind of add them upon popular demand. So yeah, we showed like a small subset to add in our first editions as well, and we're just kind of gradually add more and more as we go along. So yeah, we're not well. There is like we do have a partnership with a company called BioStrap that actually does kind of make a customized kind of a wearable, and actually they use them for the UK police, interestingly enough. So I guess there's, it's kind of getting at that underlying data. And actually I've seen, it's interesting, like they mentioned the Oura Ring. I've seen a report the other day that supposedly that's the most accurate one, but I mean, it's one of those things where, as you're mentioning,
the sensors,
it's good to have some kind of signal.
Is it that sensors are the most accurate on the Oura Ring? Is that what you're saying?
I think there was like specific clinical measures that they say were more accurate comparison to the other ones that are on the market.
Okay.
And maybe there is something about it, that location versus the wrist, that might be giving better readings. But in any case, there's pros and cons to all the different devices. But the idea is that it's, if you at least have some kind of regular tracking of, your heart rate, your sleep, your activity levels, all this sort of thing, that it's better than you just kind of guessing off the top of your head and going, yeah, I think I walked this much today, or I think I did this, and, I think I slept this way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the future is a big part of what I like to think about on this show is, and when I talk to people, is about like, where are we going? What does the future look like? Because I think it's a fascinating time to be alive from a technology standpoint. And, I'm also like just a mega geek when it comes to tech at all. So like I got a Fitbit because I was trying to get fit, and actually the app is okay, but the sensors are just garbage as far as I can tell on the Fitbit. And when I was reading about like the quality of your data, and this is the quality of sensors equals the quality of your data, blah blah blah, I sort of, let's say I got convinced that I should sign up for a Whoop, which is why I also have a Whoop. And I can tell you that the readings between the two are quite
different.
different.
Yeah, that's one of
and
those kind of industry problems, right? It's kind of like which one is
yeah,
the right one, and you know, at least can it put you in
sense of
some sort of a
quality.
range, like highly active versus moderate versus sedentary. You know, I think in those classifications, it probably says more.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
but in any case, I
yep.
think like if every human on Earth had something like a Whoop or some other device, as you know, as Mike mentioned, there's probably 24 at this stage. You know, and they're just the main manufacturers. I'm sure there's even more than that when you get into really specialized areas like you know, athletes or on the other end, on the super budget end. I'm sure there's plenty of options. But you know, if everybody had one, all of our data was being like collected and like anonymously connected and combined with just things like, you know, all of the different markers, it would be a very interesting world from a disease prevention and knowledge. I mean, presumably doctors and scientists, researchers could use that data like at scale, basically. You know, you're talking about, you know, essentially kind of like 1 million N of 1 studies, you know, for people who are over 40 who exercise 5 times a week, who, you know, consume this amount of calories every day, etc. So like I track all of that information about myself. And I don't even really consider myself a biohacker. I'm sure there's biohackers. Like I'm sure there's a wide range of people between me and the likes of Brian Johnson or someone like that, where, you know, in that range where they're also tracking a lot of information, where it would be super
And are you
interesting.
tracking this all like on different apps, or do you
Yeah.
keep track? Because I know some people even keep track on spreadsheets still, and that's why we're sort of
No,
building this solution to aggregate everything in one place and have those insights specifically focus on longevity.
No, I mean, I'm like efficiency, whatever the most efficient option is. So like I have an app that tracks calories and things that, you know, I can basically put in my meals, and it even has AI built into it. So you can just take a picture and it'll kind of guesstimate what's in it. So again, it's not perfect, but it does shave a couple of seconds off. In any case, without something to kind of collate all that information, I mean, I'm just using Apple Health at the moment, as I said before, but if, you know, if I was able to connect into Reflex DAO, for example, and my data was able to be monetized, you know, through some collective thing where there was or, you know, through your guys' app, then that's something that would be hugely interesting to me. And I think to a lot of other people as well. Everybody I know has some sort of device, whether it's an Aura or a Whoop or a Garmin or. So
we
do you think, is that
we
the future? Is that what we're looking at? I guess that's the first question. And the second part of that question, Mike, is does it need to be a DAO? Because I've seen a lot of, in the space, it seems like there's a propensity towards DAOs, maybe because the feeling is that they're more decentralized or less profit driven, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's my 2-part question for either of you guys, if you want to.
Yeah, we started as we started as and we still have the company in the UK. And we decided that it would be great to it would be, you know, with the blockchain and the tokenization aspect, that it would be good to create to found or initiate like a digital twin, a Web3 twin. And the idea behind that was basically, you know, the UK is not the friendliest place. It's not unfriendly, but it's kind of seems to be it's not it's kind of ignoring the crypto side of things. So we decided to, you know, have a separate organization, and we thought, is if you were able to create this large database, this large collective database or data set, how do you put this in the hands of a private company, or do you try and form another some other organization which essentially recognizes that the data belongs to the people who share it? And that's really where the DAO idea came. Was it's kind of a community owned commons. And so that's what gets us to the DAO, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And you know, it's a community owned resource which is for social good. That's the way I see it. And so we haven't found any better solution at this point. So that's really explains the DAO. Yeah, that's my answer. And just to answer your question, is this the future? There's a couple of things here. I mean, everybody has a mobile phone, and as you were saying, hundreds of millions of wearables that have health tracking features are sold every year. So I think we're at a point where it's pretty ubiquitous at this, already in a lot of marketplaces. For us, we're interested in how we can provide earlier detection of chronic disease risk. And if you look at the US and the UK, and I think a lot of other developed states are following close behind the US, the number of the quoted number is 50% of adults have suffering from at least one chronic disease condition. So it's huge, and it's not just an age demographic issue. If you look at people between 25 and 35, it's not far below 50%. So we've got this huge increase in chronic diseases, and we've got traditional healthcare systems under a lot of pressure. I mean, we're in the UK, so I can vouch for that. And there's a lot of pressure to find ways to improve productivity. And so decentralization and decentralized collection of health, automation. So I think, the application of AI at scale, I think these are all valid solutions in the mix of, how you get more so yeah, I think that it's got a key future in the provision of health, and also in providing more what I call health equity. So improving health equity globally, I think technology and decentralization are key factors. Sorry,
Yeah,
Jasmine, I'll let you go next.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do think that as far as the future, like, yeah, blockchain is definitely the future. I mean, I think, when we think about these structures, like DAOs and like the kind of traditional crypto as it's evolved, there are always kind of going to be some geeks that, kind of really going to get into that stuff, into the staking and LP provision and prediction markets. I think that's super interesting, and how that can be leveraged for kind of guiding the direction of scientific research. But I think that the adoption is really going to grow as this kind of abstraction begins, because there is this kind of divide between the two kind of traditional system and this kind of new one that's kind of attempting to overlay society in a kind of a way, in a very a transparent kind of a way. And it's this message, and this is going to appeal to certain people a lot more than it appeals to others. And when we talk about transforming, traditional systems, like politics and healthcare, definitely this is the most fair way to go, is to have it more driven by individuals owning their own data, sharing it as needed or as desired, having the proper gates of access, and declaring these different levels of consent, and being fairly rewarded for the contributions that they're making, especially when they're voluntary. So you think definitely these technologies are going to continue to overlay it, but the kind of the cycles around what's kind of the most exciting and shiny thing is going to continue to kind of fluctuate. Like, we don't know what's going to be the next big implementation, just like how Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of made the whole cryptocurrency thing mainstream. Now prediction markets are coming online, so I think they're going to continue to be these kind of spark moments. And yeah, like having one of those in healthcare would be amazing, because then that would be this catalyst to really transform that and get to the root cause, so that we're getting those data streams in a lot faster of why these chronic disease rates are going up. I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's because of all the junk food and the new sedentary lifestyles. We're not exercising, but to kind of fix it, we need those insights coming in real time, and not waiting 10 years for studies to come back and things like that. So
right, exactly, yeah. Yeah, like 100%. And that's why I'm so bullish on what you guys are both working on. I moved across the country, and I don't know if this is I don't think it's a particularly Irish thing. I'd imagine it's the same in the UK and probably in a lot of countries. It certainly was the case in other countries that I lived in for a while. I've lived in a whole bunch of different countries, but I don't know if it's globally true. Maybe in the US, you guys are a bit better. I'm not sure. You can by all means enlighten us, Jasmine. But like when I wanted to move our family doctor from one side of the country to the other side of the country, it was literally like there was a whole paper process that was involved, right? Like in 2025, there's a whole paper process where like I had to write in, like a letter, and they had to send stuff in the post to the other GP, which is insane. Like it's absolutely insane to me in this day and
Yeah,
age.
there was. I mean,
We have the
when
technology. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
like
go
when
on.
I got into the field, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was, there was this transition going on where some of the hospitals were still on paper, some of them were
Right.
transitioning to digital, some were fully digital. But yeah, it seems that transition will never fully complete, and it depends on the size of the facility and all that sort of thing. Actually, I'm based now in Australia, but yeah,
All right.
I grew up in the US and all that.
Definitely not an Australian accent, because I work with a bunch of Aussies. So I know the accent very well. I've been there as well a bunch of times. Anyway,
Nice.
but there's digital and there's digital, right? Like there's digital. Okay, we have computer systems and your records are here, but then you still have to request from like hospital A. Like if you're in hospital B still has to request from hospital A to have
Yeah, the systems are not
information sent
interoperable,
over.
pretty much.
Exactly. There's no composability. There's no single point of, like, there's no zero knowledge proof somewhere with all your information like securely encrypted on a blockchain somewhere where you can have a key or something that like this technology exists. It's just insane to me that it's so the gap between where we are now in blockchain and Web3 and where you guys are kind of at versus the reality on the ground. Right. The difference.
Yeah, the psychological barriers, I think, are bigger than we sometimes think, because it just seems like
legal,
so simple. Like, hey, if you could just sort this out so easily, but people think about, crypto is just gambling, or, I don't trust it. I don't know what that is. It's scary and anything like that. So,
Yeah, and there's legal and regulatory aspects to it as well, particularly in Europe, I would guess.
So part of our project, the data collective aspect of our project, we've integrated with Ocean Protocol, and Ocean provides us with some interesting features. One of them is called compute to data. Compute to data basically is the idea that rather than the data going to the compute comes to the data, and it's a way of essentially providing this privacy preservation. So this is one of the features of the data bank or the data collective, is that we provide this compute facility rather than copies of data. So we're one of the sort of founding charter is protect the data, protect the value of the data, protect the data itself. And then another aspect of that we're using from Ocean Protocol is this concept of data NFT. So we're using we're basically minting an NFT and then using it as a rights manager. And we actually did a project with Ocean in collaboration with Ocean, where we were able to demonstrate an individual user using the data NFT to basically permission another user. In this case, the case was a GP. So basically providing the GP with permission to access that data through this blockchain data NFT transaction, so that we would basically have a record that the user whose data it was basically agreed to allow it to be accessed by a GP. So this is obviously prototyping. It's in the actual system that we have now, and we intend to use it. So these things are doable on the blockchain, and there's some wonderful capability within Ocean Protocol and a lot of these blockchain technologies, which we either have already integrated or we will do over time. The other thing I wanted to say was that we consider ourselves deep in, and we have integrated with Peak Network. We are on their network. We haven't joined Get Real campaign yet. Hopefully we will soon. I hope we will join in, I think it's going to be season 3. But the idea is that it's a decentralized physical infrastructure network of health data collecting sensors. So yeah, thought I would throw that one in.
Yeah, what Peak are working on is really interesting.
Yeah,
super interesting project. Ocean Protocol sounds really interesting as well, and yeah, the data NFTs thing is a really interesting one as well, because that's a completely different paradigm, I suppose you could say, for NFTs. I think, are you guys using that as well in Rejuve, Jasmine?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, we just kind of like called them the same name, even though it's like a little bit different. Our data NFT is pretty much a decentralized identity token that kind of identifies kind of the level of verification that they've given to, their identity of who they are. And pretty much the first level of it is to make sure that there's not multiple instances of the same person in there, because we do have survey-based data as well, and we're giving out rewards. People can upload blood tests, all that sort of a thing. So we don't want any sort of people gaming the system and making, 30, 40, 50 Sybils or anything like that. And then the other function of it is to, actually sign the permission to share outside of the Rejuve network. So the initial consent for this is just that you're sharing it with us to improve our algorithms. As the data set grows and becomes more attractive to other research groups, then we can kind of put them in there, and you can say, yes, I want to share my data with this party or that one or all of the above, that kind of a thing. So that's kind of the function there. But yeah, definitely these even Vita DAO has made these IP NFTs very successful. That's another kind of similar use case. So definitely this technology itself has a lot of potential beyond just kind of like storing images and things of that nature. It can actually be used a lot for transmitting ownership for consents and for really tracking what data kind of transferred to which person in a way that actually preserves privacy.
Yeah, so just for anybody who's not massively familiar, because I wasn't massively familiar until I started doing a little bit of homework for this show. My understanding, and either of you, please correct me if I get this wrong, but my understanding is essentially with data NFT, you've got a non-fungible token with just a different, like a different ERC token type, basically, and it acts as a wrapper for the data. So in this case, your medical records, whatever they are, and then you can essentially, with that token, you can mint access tokens so that people can have, like when you let them, people can have access. So that's kind of the high level. That's my understanding. Is that correct, or does it change varying on usage?
I think that's the Ocean model, right?
That's the Ocean model. Okay, right.
Yep.
Okay, so your model, Jasmine, you're saying is slightly different. It's more.
Yeah, just because it was more like inside of the
identity
ecosystem kind of a thing. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Gotcha.
And actually, interesting. Ocean is actually part of the ASI Alliance, which we are a spinoff of SingularityNet, which was kind of one of those original 3 that did that merger last year. It's a little fun fact.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Nothing
Sounds
sits still in this space.
Sounds like there's opportunity for us to collaborate together, Jasmine.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. You guys will have access to our guest alumni group after this, so you can chat.
Yeah.
All right.
For if I could just say, for us, we're not so focused specifically on longevity, but I think our mission really is to help by providing additional preventative health methods, which, over time, hopefully would improve society's longevity rather than a specific individual. So that's our kind of longevity angle, is more of a it's a populational society level rather than individuals.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's,
Oh,
definitely super important, especially where we're going with, potential AGI and all this kind of a thing, is like, how do we actually heal our
Yeah.
collective and our society to be at a better place, health wise, whether that's
Yeah.
mental, physical, to actually prepare us for this new
It's
world and
just
to actually succeed.
how to
yeah.
help improve society. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think even pre-AGI, with the LLMs that we have now, I've mentioned this before, but I heard about a model that OpenAI had made. It was a small model, so it's like, I don't know if it's an LLM or an SLM, but in any case, they'd created this model specifically for this group of researchers, to kind of take a massive amount, like there's something to do with genomes or something like that. They had to try and figure out which ones would be most likely, and with the results of basically that effort were that they were able to, reduce that list to a much shorter list of possibilities, and so basically they were able to triage the list so that the most likely ones were done first in terms of the and I'm butchering this, but long story
I think
short,
it's
they were
like
able to
retro bioscience with the partial reprogramming, right? I think
they were able to like extend the life of a mouse to like 250 years or something like that. So like, just on the longevity side of things, I thought that was super fascinating. I keep talking about this because it blew my mind at the time, but I was driving the car, so I really must re-listen to that and actually look at the research, just so that I can speak a little bit more intelligently about it in the future. But this is kind of the time in the show where we just flip it over to the audience to ask questions if they've asked any. So we may have dealt with some of these before, but let's just dive into what people are asking. Bob is asking, have you been able to connect your data to a user's electronic medical record? It seems like to see the full holistic picture, you would need that side of the user's history. Do either of you guys want to take that?
yeah, I
We
mean, that's
haven't.
definitely no, because it's a challenging thing, because each is using a different type of electronic health medical record, and that's why we're kind of basically having them recreate it. Now, we don't go into the details of acute illnesses and things of that nature, because we're more focused on the chronic and aging trajectory kind of aspect of it. But we do have that you can log all of your chronic conditions that you do currently have or have been diagnosed with in the past, and we have a big long general medical history survey, and all of the same sorts of things that you would find at a GP are kind of in there. But yeah, we're not like directly connected to that, and it's a little bit difficult even for individuals, I think, sometimes to even request it.
Yeah,
we
definitely
haven't we haven't done that, and I think that's really that's a task for a different project, another project, and I kind of hope that we're going to find that project and we're going to collaborate with them, because there's all sorts of hurdles in terms of how you get the data. There's it's not standardized, so that can mean going into the surgery and getting a printout or getting a CD, and so that's got comes with a whole host of problems that you've got to resolve.
For sure. I mean, some doctors, I'm sure, are still writing things down, and doctors' handwriting and everything. Can you see a world where electronic medical records are on chain? They have to be at some stage, right? Like, it just makes so much sense.
Yes.
The data's not on chain. So what is on chain is a pointer to the data. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess Bob is just asking
similarly,
a broad
right now there's a lot
question. Yeah.
Yeah, there are optimizations that are needed in order to make it efficient to store those massive amounts of data there. But yep, people are working on it, and definitely I can see that being something that eventually everybody's going to get on board and go, hey, this is actually the best way to do this and solve our interoperability and software incompatibility issues,
Yeah. Just on a technical level, it makes
there's a
so
good
much
chance
sense. I mean, I
that
know that we probably need a specific use chain of some sort, but there are blockchain ecosystems like Cosmos and others where you can tweak your chain. It would be very low. I mean, yeah, I know. It would make a lot of sense if somebody figured that out. So I'm sure someone will at some point. What else have we got? Do you think government regulations regarding AI intervention in healthcare will be a major obstacle? I guess too. I'm not sure what the obstacle would be too, but yeah,
well, I guess there's some
need. Sorry, Jasmine, you go first there.
Yeah, no, there's a delay, but yeah, so I guess there's some debate about how much that medical professionals should actually rely on AI. If the AI makes a mistake, whose fault is it, kind of a thing. But I think that it's inevitable that we're going to start to want and need this technology in order to optimize even workflows and more simplistic things, even if it's not at the diagnostic level. I mean, there's already robotic assisted surgery that's probably going to be augmented with AI. So yeah, I think it's something that's inevitable, and that the government regulations are more going to have to catch up with the technology and actually say, okay, here's the guidelines of how we use it. I don't think that it's going to be we're not using it.
Yeah, well, I mean, already at the consumer level, people are using it. I mean, people used to Google. They used to joke about Dr. Google, because you'd go on to Google.
That's Dr. GPT.
Yeah, now it's Dr. GPT, exactly. Because before it used to be like, no matter what your symptom was, you had cancer or, something like that. But now it's like probably a little bit more nuanced, but still like,
for us, it's all about self-collectible health data. So so users can do what they want with that. I also note that if I want to get an appointment with my GP, I have to go through an online triage system. So I think that it's totally if it's used as a next step. So if this is a productivity tool, I don't think there's any stopping it. Maybe the EU might try and legislate and make it difficult, but I think
of course they will.
It's baked in at this point.
They will definitely try to introduce some ridiculous regulation, probably. And I'm not anti-regulation, but I just am the EU is just very heavy-handed with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. So liability perspective, yeah. I mean, there is definitely liability things, and also I heard Sam Altman talking about like how people are talking to GPT about their psychological problems. Like they're essentially treating GPT like for their mental health care, like a shrink,
like a therapist or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like a therapist. Yeah, but like therapists are afforded, a degree of protection. Like your data is actually protected to a certain degree with the therapist. Like the things that you tell your therapist, like they're legally not allowed to tell anybody else. Whereas with GPT, like basically any government entity can request the information and they're sort of compelled to provide it. So it's not. So yeah. Anyways, and that's forgetting AI hallucinations and all the rest of it, and some of the horror stories.
That's interesting. So for us, we've anonymized the data, and potentially you can present the data to an AI. I mean, not that we're we thought about this, and we are if we do integrate AI into this, we do it obviously very carefully, and it's it's at the control of the user, and the AI has to be the data's got to be ring fenced, but having the data anonymized is pretty helpful first step. So potentially you could share your data with an AI without the AI having any clue who you are. And I think using AI to kind of try and get I don't know whether self-diagnosis is the right word, maybe, but to get an understanding of what issue you might be suffering from. I think it's inevitable, isn't it? It's sort of inevitable that people will go that route, unless there's a better alternative. They're already doing it, right? People are already doing it. They go to Medline or they go to one or other websites that provide the sort of similar thing, but in a very blunt, they're very blunt tools, right?
Yeah, much more manual.
But being able to say share data that's completely anonymized kind of gives you one level of protection. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
definitely.
we can do that technically fully anonymized. So that means you can't see even the web ID, the wallet ID that it's associated with.
Right. So there's no connection between. So when you get the application, I don't have to sign up, create an account, give you details of an email address.
Obviously that's going to present some issues we've got to work through. But yeah, we don't ask for any personally identifiable data. We're GDPR compliant, but we don't actually store any personally identifiable information. Right, that was always the plan, and we need to add some features to make the whole experience. You have a wallet ID, and then you need to have a private key. So we want to add some technology on top of that, just to simplify that experience. But yeah, the idea really is that we don't want to know anything. We don't want any personally identifiable information in the system, and we just don't see any reason why we need it. So I get so angry sometimes when I have to sign up to these things and they want to know my phone number and address, and it's like, why do they need this information? It's not even like a financial, it's not even to suit a regulator. It's purely hoovering up information for the provider of the service. It seems to me. So
yeah, what gets me these days is when I have to go through a verification process. I mean, KYC is one thing, like you say, when you're dealing with financial stuff, but like, LinkedIn, where it was driving me crazy the day, like every time I logged in, it's like verify, and then you're taking selfies and all this. It's like, I mean, I guess the problems with bots.
Yeah, it doesn't even let through. It goes, oh, your country's not supported. I'm like, why ask?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess on the other side of it is, being able to verify that this, as I said, the person is an individual, or that perhaps that they are, a male or female from such and such a place, could be valuable as far as medical research goes, and being able to trust, the inputs that the individual put in. So that's why, we're kind of going with the zero knowledge proof kind of verifying, and storing a metadata that they passed the check, not the information itself, but that they actually did go through the certain level of verification, chain to actually put a little bit more confidence on the data that they're providing, since we do want it to be useful, at that academic level, at the scientific level, for publications, and really scaling it.
Yeah, you have to have some
same.
sort of thing like that, I would imagine. And also, if you're providing rewards, there's no, like, rewards are the greatest incentive for bad actors in the history of the world. To quote Charlie Munger, show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. So yeah, sorry, Mike, you were going to say something there.
Yeah, no, I mean, for us, it's the same thing, but also, there's the way we see it is potentially that you reward somebody more for greater disclosure. So, the metadata, the amount of metadata that you disclose is more, if it adds value to the data at the end of the day, then we should reward for that. Yeah. Where we are now, it's a journey, and it's, it's a big experiment, and it's a journey to build this system, and we're learning things as we go and trying things. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're kind of at the top of the hour, so I will just maybe we'll just wrap this up with, if you guys want to just give everybody the details of where they can find out more about the project, where they can join your communities, get involved, etc. Whatever your website address is, I suppose, and whatever social accounts you'd like them to follow. And Jasmine, if you want to go first, ladies first, and then Mike, and I'll go last.
Yeah, sure. So it's a simple one. It's literally rejuve.ai is our website, and you see all of our social media links there. We're on X, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of the typical suspects. And we also have a community ambassador program that has a variety of different prongs, from KOLs and influencers to clinician advisory group, moderators for our Telegram and Discord channels, internal beta testers, and our governance group that is just getting started now, who will have an exclusive review of our new tokenomics light paper, which will kind of delineate how the Rejuve token will be used inside the app and ecosystem in more detail, and will also lead to kind of a community vote to kind of ratify it. So exciting there. But yeah, you can find out all about what's going on in all of our community channels.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Mike?
Yeah, so we're at Reflex DAO. So the website's reflexdao.com, reflexdao.com. We're Reflex DAO on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn. If you go to the website, you can get an idea of the project. You can log into our lab and see how we're doing in terms of collecting data. We've got a little dashboard there just to show what's happening. If always interested in anybody who would love to collaborate, just drop us a line. There's the contact pages on the website. We've got a Discord server. You can get to that from our website. So anybody who's interested in joining the community and collaborating, let us know. And we've got a shop as well where we are still selling our R&D wearable for anybody who's interested.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on and giving us your time and your insights. I'll just finish up by saying thank you to all of you who are watching as well. I'm constantly great. I feel constantly grateful for the all of you that watch, that tune in each week, ask us questions and get involved in the show, as well as obviously those of you who are involved and active in our community. We are trying really, really hard with our airdrop season 3, which is there'll be more details coming very soon on that. Just been snowed under with the listing and a lot of other stuff that we're working on sort of for the next six to 8 weeks of on the marketing and community side of things. So we will have details of that soon, and my hope is that it's going to be very rewarding for those of you who are active in our community. Havelo.com, if you want to get all of the links. We actually just launched a brand new website yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday morning. Just update on the brand, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit more, I guess, easy to understand, like all about Havelo and why you should get involved. I think it's fair to say that it's the easiest way to get involved in DeepIn at the moment for the consumer. So Havelo.com, and you'll find all the links to our Discord and X accounts there if you're not already tuned into this on X. So with all of that said, thank you guys. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Mike, for joining us today. It's been a really interesting discussion. I could do 10 more of these, in all honesty. Health, longevity, technology. I mean, it's just ticking all the boxes of things that are interesting to me. So really appreciate you guys. And also I really appreciate all of you tuned in. Until next week, be kind to each other, and we will see you then.